Hi, Jonnie.
Hi, how are
Hi.
you?
I'm great. This is Natalie.
Hey, Natalie.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm good. I also have my co-host Macy here. Hi, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank y'all for doing this.
Thanks for talking to us. We're very excited to talk to you, but we really appreciate your time.
Oh, my pleasure. Any chance I get to talk about Bethany, I am all for it.
I love that. I do too. So we just wanted to quickly go over the few questions we wanted to ask you, and then we'll get into it. And you can say yes or no to any of these questions, okay? Yeah, if you don't want us to ask them, we're just going to run through the list of questions, and if you're like, I don't want to answer that, then when we actually start asking the questions, we won't ask that.
Okay, sounds fair.
Okay, what are you up to now? Are you okay with that question?
What am I up to now?
Yeah.
Just doing some fingerprinting I did some fingerprinting for a school last week. I think we fingerprinted 71 kids and just pushing stuff on our Facebook page and making sure that nobody forgets about Bethany or all the other missing children in Tennessee. And then, of course, my full-time regular job.
I love the fingerprinting. Is that something you're doing like just locally, or are they going to make that? Are you hoping that that becomes like a statewide thing?
I'm doing it local right now. It started, I think I know the idea came up years ago when there was a really good tip and about Bethany. And it was the little girl and the woman that were in Cleveland, Tennessee at this.
Yeah, that's like literally 10 minutes away from us.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But, they, the TBI and FBI, and they asked, do you have Bethany's fingerprints? I was like, I don't. Back then I lived in a very small town, and it just, I don't know, just didn't seem important, didn't come up. And I always used to say, if anybody took her, they would bring her back. But, so, and if I'd had her fingerprints, I probably would not have gotten her back. But I would have known that she was still alive, where she was, and maybe what direction she was going in. So I'm a big advocate for fingerprinting.
I love that. And I also love that you said that you used to say that if someone took her, they would bring her back, because I say that about my youngest son all the time. I always say, I'm like, they would literally get halfway down the road and be like, oh, we picked the wrong one. Because it's just wild.
Yeah, but most definitely. I mean, like I've always said about Bethany, she could have a mouth on her. She was a typical 11-year-old daughter, 11-year-old little girl, and ask a million questions and bouncing from here to there, and she would wear anybody out really, really quick.
I love that. That's a good spirit.
Yeah.
It sounds like she has a great spirit. That reminds me of my youngest son. This fingerprinting thing, I want to get it here, kind of. Mm-hmm. Okay, after we're off this call, I want to reach out to you about this fingerprinting thing, because I love this, and I had no idea.
Yeah. Well, I used to work with the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, and I would talk to parents when their children disappear. And years back, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, they partnered up with Old Navy, and once a year they would do a safety day, have fire trucks and things like that out there, and I would go to my local Old Navy and set up and fingerprint. And it's crazy how many people seem to be, in a real hurry. And I get it outside of a retail store. You want to run in, what you're going to get and come back out. But once I would stop them and say, well, let me tell you about my daughter. And I wish I'd give anything if I'd have had her fingerprints. And they're like, okay, some of them get on the phone and call their husband and say, bring the kids to Old Navy right now. So I think if you tell a story behind it and give the people the why and a reason, it's not, I used to think, oh, that's morbid, but it's
No,
not.
It's not at all, and I agree. I think when they have something to relate to or to question their reasoning behind not doing it or not waiting to hear you out, like, it makes a big difference for sure.
Yeah, and it also gives me a chance to tell Bethany's story to one more person who may have never heard about Bethany and will pique their curiosity and send them to Google her and search for her and then start spreading her story, and not only hers but other missing children.
Yeah. That's so cool. We gotta work something out and do an event for Chattanooga.
Yeah, well, you do know, maybe you don't, that March the 4th is Tennessee Missing Children's Day. We got a bill passed.
March 4th?
And
from when
March the 4th. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we need to do it that day then. Yeah.
Well, before
we should plan an event.
yeah. Well, before the tornado hit us here in 2019 and COVID hit here in Nashville in 2020, we were doing an event at where I work, and we were opening the doors, to the public, and we were doing free fingerprinting. Not only that, I had speakers from the National Center, I had TBI, I had FBI, I had other people speaking, and then I would get up and tell Bethany's story. And Brandon Barnett, that did a podcast on Bethany, he would, he got up and spoke once. But we would make bookmarks for every missing child in the state of Tennessee with their information and picture on the front, and with their picture on the front and their details and the information about their disappearance on the back. And we would tie them to balloons and release them. And I know, I think I got when I did it for Bethany, I would put my email address on the back, and I got emails from people that like found it out in a field, and I even got one time that found Bethany's balloon in a his parking spot, and about 900 miles away.
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And then for a few years later, I would have people, email me and say, hey, I just want you to know that Bethany's bookmark is still in my Bible or still hanging on the refrigerator. We are keeping track. We're watching and making sure, we're updated and to see if she's, see if she's home yet. But these are people we would have never been able to touch, never been able probably to give them any information.
That's amazing. Oh my gosh. It was a balloon that made it 900 miles.
Yeah, we it was a really windy day, and that's what you pray for.
I'm just shocked the balloon made it. That's crazy. Do you remember, was that recently, or do you remember like the location of that?
It was honestly, I don't. It has been so many years ago. It was before we started Tennessee Missing Children's Day, and we were only doing it for Bethany, and it may have been like 18 years ago, something like that. But yeah, it was crazy. It was a long way.
That's wild. Do you want to go? Do you have any updates on the case?
No, I don't. Mm-mm.
And that's hard.
It is. It is. And yeah, it is, especially around the holidays. It seems to, I don't know.
And that's why, so for this episode, we're doing 3 cases of missing children in Tennessee. The 3 previous cases that we've already covered because of the holidays. Like, I figured this is a great time to talk about it because you got to miss your family during the holidays. Well, and then, like, people can hear the podcast, and then when they're going to get-togethers and visiting with family and friends, like, they might bring it up in conversation, the podcast, and then it just spreads, like, one person telling someone else. We just feel like the holidays are such a special time and such a tough time, but we feel like if we do this during the holidays, it will just help make the conversations bigger and bring more awareness to these missing children, and hopefully help a little bit.
I agree. I totally agree. It's holidays are hard. Holidays and birthdays.
Yeah.
Hard.
And feel free to, say you don't want to answer this or even remotely talk about it or give it your time. But do you particularly have any theories or speculations or thoughts on what might have happened and like what do you think transpired?
I wish I knew. I wish I knew the truth, but here's what I do know, and this is the truth. I wish I knew the truth about the whole thing, but the truth that I do know is she was with her father. He reported her missing, and he failed his polygraph miserably.
Yeah.
I've asked myself.
Are you still in contact with him at all?
No. No.
Okay.
No.
Does if you don't know, that's okay. Do you know? Does he put any effort forth to keep her picture and name and stuff out there, or like to bring awareness to her? Does he do anything of that nature that you?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, he lives up in East Tennessee, up around Gatlinburg, and I don't know. Not that I'm aware of. I know that when the first podcast came out, there was a show, Crime Watch Daily, and they did get a hold of him, and it was the first real interview that he had ever given.
Yeah, I think I listened. Yeah. That was weird. Yeah, it was odd.
Yeah, very.
It was like him trying to like convince. Well, I just felt like he was trying to save face. Yeah. To convince people and like show people that he's this great, wonderful dad who loves his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But he made it way more about himself than he needed, I feel like.
Yeah.
So cool. I love it. I love you.
My whole thing is, in the beginning it came out that, I knew he was taking her to the mall, and then I sent somebody to kidnap her from the mall. But anybody that has common sense knows if I had Bethany, if I wouldn't kidnap her and didn't want her to be with her dad, and I had her, I would not be out here screaming at the top of my lungs having people look for her.
Right, yeah, exactly.
I would be quiet.
Yeah, I was going to say, you might be in a foreign country.
Yeah. You would not. I would be missing too. What is the point of kidnapping your own child and then just not being with them? It's just, I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. I've tried to figure this out for 22 years, and I just keep coming up with more and more questions and no answers.
So what do you want to say or share with parents of missing children? Because like I said, we're doing this whole episode we're going to be talking to parents of missing children. What were typically cases that we have covered on the podcast before? Yeah. Like, what would be your advice to those parents?
Don't give up. Don't ever give up on your children. Don't ever give up on finding them. Don't stop talking about them. If us parents, if we as parents stop and we get silent, nobody's going to look at them. If we're not on, if we don't have a poker poking law enforcement, poking people to share the Facebook pages and just keep putting our babies' names out there, they're going to disappear again. They're going to disappear again. Yeah. And it's up to us. We have to be vocal. We have to scream, holler, cuss, cry, whatever it takes to get attention for our kids.
Yeah, no, I hear that. And I appreciate that so much. And honestly, what you just said spoke to me a lot when you said they will disappear again. Mm-hmm. And that's something that most people obviously who have never gone through something like this or experienced something like this, it would never cross someone's mind to think about it that way. But for me, that makes so much sense, and it's so powerful that they will disappear again if you don't keep, pushing it out there, putting it out there, forcing it out there, making people listen and hear you. So
Yeah.
you're so strong.
Thank you. I don't feel strong right now, but it's the holidays, and it's just another holiday that Bethany's not going to be here with us and with her family, and it just makes it hard on all of us. And not just me, every single parent out there that has a missing child, no matter if the child is 33 now. Bethany's 33, and she is still my baby, and she will always be my baby. And she's like forever frozen at 11 years old, and it's hard. One of her friends was telling me a few years ago, I think probably about 10 or 11 years ago, because she had just turned 21, and we were at a football game, and she said, "Oh, if Bethany was here, we'd be out clubbing." I'm like, Bethany is 11 years old, and she said, "No, she's not. She's not 11 years." And that kind of just, I don't know, it's like cold water being thrown over you.
Yeah. Speaking of Bethany, if she were to hear this podcast or even see something maybe like on social media, like a clip or anything like that, what would you want her to hear? What would you want to say to her?
I would tell her that I love her so much. You're going to make me cry. And I miss her so much.
Yeah.
That's okay. And there's nothing that she has gone through in the last 22 years that we can't work through together. And her whole family misses her. She's got, nieces and nephews that she hasn't met. Our family keeps getting bigger, and she's missed a lot. And we're ready for her to come home anytime. We're here with open arms. No judgment, no nothing. We're just ready to have her home.
And are y'all located in the same area that she would remember?
No. Well, we're still, I think it was in Hermitage when she disappeared, but no. We're still in the close area, but not in the same house. Actually, her and we didn't even have our own place. We were living with my sister and my brother-in-law, so I have my house, and things have changed. But
do your sister and brother, do they still live in that same house?
They do not. They
okay.
Don't,
but
yeah,
y'all are still like in the same area from
we are.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, we're within probably 20, 30 miles of the original house.
Okay.
But her best friend in school, she's married and got 3 or 4 little babies now, and her mom still lives in the same house. So that would be easy to find.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like if she were to hear this, that's very helpful information. Do you have anything else, Natalie? Just if anyone knows anything, who should they contact, and how can we learn more about Bethany's case? Is there like social media platforms? I know there's an updated age progression photo. Where do we go to get more info? Or if we have information, who should we call?
You should call 1-800-TBI, the 1-800-TBI number, or you could call in a tip to the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. You would not believe how many tips and leads we get on Help Find Bethany Facebook page and the Tennessee Missing Children's Day Facebook page. We get a lot of stuff through that. So, yeah, anyway, reach out to me, find me on social media, message me on Facebook. I will turn the information over to the authorities.
Yeah.
And the thing about it is it's been 22 years, and somebody knows something. She just didn't vanish off the earth. And it's time, it's not only time for her to be back with her family, time for us to have her back. And I don't know, it's just, I just don't see how people can hold on to such a deep, dark secret for so long. Somebody has told somebody.
I
And
agree.
by keeping her name out there, somebody could see it and say, yeah, I really need to tell this.
Yep. Yeah. And that's one of the things we talk about in this episode too is, well, I feel like we say it in almost every episode. Like, if you think you know something, even if you don't know for sure that it's connected, if you think or question, should I call? Call. Always call. Always call. Give the information. You can remain anonymous. Call. Give the information. Never, ever, ever doubt that. You shouldn't. Right. Yeah. If you're thinking about it or even wondering, you should always call.
Well, if you think about it, the public they're the ones that find our missing through tips, through people calling in. I mean, very seldom does law enforcement just stumble upon a missing child.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's the public. So without the public, we're not going to find our children.
Mm-hmm. Have there been any tips that, I know the one that really kind of has held the most weight was the tip of her with the lady at the little restaurant or diner in Cleveland. Have there been any tips or people that maybe saw her that you or law enforcement felt like what could be accurate as well?
Yeah, I mean, they'll send me pictures and say, hey, this was turned in. Somebody saw this, homeless woman sitting on the street and took a picture. And, I've had people message me and say, I've been by this same place 3 times and I finally slowed down, took a picture. Do you think it could be Bethany? And I think this was like in New York or New Jersey. But yeah, I mean, I've seen some that I thought was close, that they really did have a lot of the same features.
Yeah.
But it's hard. Even with the age progression, is that really what she looks like? I mean, because I don't know what kind of life Bethany would have had in the last 22 years. And of course, that is that's going to show in her appearance, whether she be, heavy or thinner or, older looking or younger looking. Teeth issues, things like that. Changing her hair color.
I will say, like, the age progression too, like, I'm thinking from Bethany's perspective, if she were to see the age progression, though, no matter how similar or different, I think it would catch her eye.
Me too, yeah.
And have her think like, oh, that looks like me.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's obviously beneficial to the public and things can change and look different, but for me, it's just as important in case she were to see it, because I think it would kind of send some alarms off, in her head, like, whoa, hold on, what's going on?
Yeah. I
and
mean,
she might be able to make sense of some things.
And who knows what she was told. I mean, she may think I'm dead. She may think I hate her. She may, there's a 100 different scenarios where, she could be out there living a really good and happy life and not even knowing that we've been looking for her.
Right.
That's my prayer.
Yeah. Oh, the love of a mother.
I know. I'm telling you, I told a friend of mine one time, we was talking about a certain individual, and I said, I do believe that they could chop my head off and my headless body would still chase them down the street.
It's different. Yeah. Oh my gosh, that I love that so much. I feel like I have a lot of the same characteristics and personality traits that you do. So if you hear me laughing a lot, it's because I'm like, that's exactly what I would say, or that's exactly what I would do.
When this started, when Bethany first disappeared, I was very quiet and meek and kept my head down and, was scared about what I said because I was told, don't say too much. You might give some stuff away. So you know, and being in the rooms with people interviewing and law enforcement, and somebody asks you a question, and you look at them and they shake their head, no, don't answer it. And finally I got to the point, I'm like, so what?
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah.
Who cares anymore? If I say something I'm not supposed to and it gets a lead, good for me.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that bravery. I had one question, but now what were you going to say before you said we do some, you were starting off talking about just keeping her name out there? Were you going to mention something?
That train jumped the track. Sorry.
No, it's the same thing with us. Yeah. What was I going to ask? I literally just looked at Natalie and I was like, oh man, I had a question, but it's like gone now. Dang it.
When I get to talking about Bethany, I mean, there's so much I want to and need to say. So I just try to pour it out all at once. And yeah, it's just, that's an issue when you're speaking, you know, in front of a bunch of people. You only have a limited amount of time.
Truth be told, if you think of something after we're done, you can always send us a message or give us another call, and we're always happy to like add an update or anything to our episode. So anytime you think of something or you feel like it's something you want to share, like just let us know and we will make it happen.
Okay, I remember now talking about Bethany getting her name out. You were talking about the good lead, the woman in Cleveland. I think the best lead I got, well, wasn't really the best, but the most promising was a woman was arrested in East Tennessee. And when they went and asked her, you know, who she was, and she said, my name is Bethany Markowski.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah. Tell me a little bit more about that.
That was crazy. So they asked her name, and she gave different names, and then she said, my name is Bethany Markowski, and this is a story law enforcement told me. So they didn't know up in East Tennessee Bethany was missing, and they figured it out, and they called Scott Lott, which was Bethany's original TBI agent that has moved to East Tennessee. And him and I talked, and evidently they took some pictures in there, and they asked her, you know, who is this? She said, that's me, and that's my mom. You know, anyway, it's just crazy. No fingerprints. Remember, I didn't get her fingerprinted. If I had Bethany fingerprinted, I would have never even gotten that call. But I didn't. Because through DNA, they proved it wasn't her.
They would have known immediately.
They would have known immediately it was not her. So they had to, I don't know, fly her DNA over to somewhere, and Bethany, my DNA, because Bethany's hairbrush DNA and all this stuff. Yeah. And, you know, I had so many people at my house, all of my family, friends from work, and we were just waiting for the phone call. And you know it's not a good phone call when you answer and they say, hey, Jonnie, I'm sorry.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But, again, fingerprints. It would have kept me having that.
Can I ask, I'm very ignorant to, I definitely understand the importance of fingerprints, but is there a reason that fingerprints is it because you can quickly compare fingerprints as opposed to just being able to compare DNA? Is it because the process is quicker and easier?
Yes.
And an arrest or something like that, fingerprints are automatically taken, whereas DNA, there has to be a warrant. I'm assuming that's part of. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I just feel like for our listeners, anyone that is hearing it, I feel like that's something that if I was thinking of it as far as my kids go, I feel like it'd be like, well, what about just DNA? But it's a whole different process, a whole different judicial system, all kinds of things that have to go into comparing DNA versus just being able to compare fingerprints.
So they could have put, if Bethany's fingerprints was in the database and they put this woman's fingerprints in the database, that database goes so fast. And with the day, it was going to take up to 3 days.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming maybe whatever she might have been arrested for, they weren't probably going to be able to hold her for that long.
They could not hold her, and they could not force her to tell the truth. And I even, they sent her to a facility in East Tennessee, and I called the facility, and that's part of the podcast. when oh honey, you need some answers. But yeah, I said I just need to know why. Out of all the names in the world, why did she use Bethany Markowski? Where did she even get that name from?
Yeah.
And yeah, they couldn't tell me if she was at the facility. I told them I knew she was, and anyway, they just couldn't. And so law enforcement contacted me and said, hey, you can't do that. And second of all, we can't make her tell the truth. And as far as I know, that was the end of that.
So you don't actually know if that was Bethany or not?
DNA, it was not. And looking at the pictures, I'm about 99.9% it was not Bethany. And even Scott with the TBI told me, he said, I'm going to go in and interview her. He said, I told everybody if I pass out, it's Bethany. So,
okay. I hear you on that. I really want to know where she got that name. Because what if she might have been involved with something or abducted herself?
Mm-hmm. I thought human trafficking, you know?
Yeah, like what if? So, man.
There's so many twists and turns and just people that when I would go to the Amber Alert conferences and tell Bethany's story and stuff, and people would come up to me and go, that is just the weirdest story I've ever heard. I'm like, I know, but you can't make stuff like this up.
Yeah.
And I've had parents, tell me they know where their children are because they were murdered and recovered, and they would say, I cannot imagine going through my life not knowing where my child is. It would drive me crazy. And I was like, I'm looking at you, and I'm like, I cannot imagine going through my life knowing my child was murdered and thrown in a dumpster. That that would drive me insane too. So there's on both sides. I mean, it's bad. It's bad, and there's no sense in it, and it shouldn't happen. And I don't know. I don't know how to erase mean people out of the world.
Mm-hmm. That was one of the questions I was going to ask you that I forgot. Was what is it that you think has gotten you through this journey of honestly of hell, but with still so much like courage and bravery, and you're still so positive. Like I can feel your good energy through the phone.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that you've really held on to? And I mean, it could be anything. It could be, just putting your notes down and going. It could be your faith. It could be Bethany. It could be a number of things. But I'm just curious because for so many years to have gone by, and for the ups and downs and the leads and all the things, I mean, that's a lot. It's a lot.
And
So
you get tired, and you take time off, and because you forget about your own mental health, and you forget about, if I don't take care of myself and Bethany comes home tomorrow, who's going to take care of me and her, right?
Yep.
And I think I know for a fact, what has kept me going and kept me strong, and it's my family, and that, and I'm not a quitter, especially when it comes to my kids. And the bad times are so bad, and the good times don't get much better than the bad times. I mean, But the law enforcement asked me years ago, do you want us to still tell you about our leads and tips and things like that? I said, yes. I need to know that. I need to know that people are still looking, people are still calling, you're still doing your job. Because I'm sitting over here in this little corner of the world thinking nobody's doing anything, which sometimes is the truth and sometimes is not. But it brings me up and gives me hope. It renews in it. and I feel like I get it. I get information right when I'm at my lowest, and I'm done, and I'm not
Yeah,
doing
it's
it
like
anymore,
the
and I
fire.
can't breathe.
Yeah, it's like the fuel to the fire. It lights it back up.
Mm-hmm.
I love
Yeah.
that. Oh my gosh. You're so great.
Well, thank you. It's a battle every day. For 22 years, you wake up and you decide, is this going to be a good day or a bad day? I choose good days. I don't always win, but I try.
Mm-hmm. Good for you. Just keep trying and keep doing what you're doing because it's absolutely amazing what you're doing for your daughter. And I know if you were my mother and we were in this situation, I would be so incredibly proud. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you.
Yes. You're
Most
so
definitely.
welcome. And one of the things we discussed when we recorded yesterday for a different thing for Thanksgiving week, and I said something. I was like, I would never say this, but now I'm just old enough and my give a damn is just busted enough to like say it. Yeah. But I hope this Thanksgiving, I hope you're thankful for yourself. I really hope you give yourself that recognition.
Thank you. I will work on that. I will. I promise.
So you definitely deserve it. It's hard to do. It's hard to do, especially as a mom, as a working woman, as someone who has gone through everything you've gone through and are still battling that and fighting for it. It's hard to sit down and be like, you know what? I am pretty badass. Like I'm pretty solid. So make sure you remind yourself and just be thankful for yourself because you're a heck of a woman.
Thank you. I'm still, it's been 22 years and I'm still battling the guilt, Why did I let her go? I knew not to let her go. What could I have done different to get a different outcome or so? But that's okay.
Hopefully with your continued fighting and bringing awareness to it and sharing your story and Bethany's story and with podcasts like this, hopefully there will come a time when you will not have to feel that guilt anymore.
Yeah, I think I'm going to feel the guilt until I'm able to look at Bethany or tell Bethany I'm sorry and get that from her, And realistically, I know it's not my fault.
Right. It's not your fault. No, but I definitely think it's 100% natural and understandable to feel the guilt or feel guilty about it and wonder, what if I would have done something different or could I have, should I have, all the things. But I also do really appreciate and like and respect the fact that you don't let that guilt overpower your will to figure this out and find your daughter.
Nope.
And that's what's most important.
I agree. It is. I think, well, I don't think, but sometimes it's like, am I trying to push myself so hard and push my friends and family so hard to help alleviate my guilt, but that's not it. I'm pushing so hard for Bethany and other missing children because they deserve it and the parents deserve it. We deserve it. For anything, the kids deserve it. It's just, I just don't understand. I guess I never will.
I think I said this a couple podcasts ago. I was like, we will never understand the mind of someone who could do something so awful because we do not have that mind. We cannot physically, like mentally think of those things because we're not those people. Yeah. And honestly, I say this all the time, like some things I hope I never understand. Yeah. Because if I understand how someone could do something like this, that means I am like them. Yeah. Yep. So sometimes not understanding something is totally okay with me. It's not something I want to understand.
Yeah, but it's since Bethany disappeared, I look back and I look at the signs and and I'm thinking, well, that should have been a red flag for this and this should have been a red flag for that. And it's things that I'm more aware of now because Bethany's missing, and not just with my daughter, but with other kids and, things like that.
Right.
And I've said it before. I used to be the person just like everybody else that would walk in Walmart and see that picture, see that wall of missing children and go, oh, man, that's sad. That's so bad. That's horrible. And then go on with my shopping and never think about it again.
Yeah.
And I was one of those people.
Mm-hmm.
And, it just, how much did I miss, for how many years, it's just sad. And it's sad that we have to condition ourselves to look at a wall of missing children.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, yeah, it's a lot. We all need a glass of wine. That's that.
Glass, honey. How about a bottle? At least it's Friday. At least it's Friday.
Yes, ma'am. You're right. Well, if you ever need anything from us, feel free. If you want us to share something, if you want whatever it might be.
Perfect. And we need to get together and talk about y'all starting an event for missing children. And
we're gonna.
Chattanooga, right?
That's okay. That's so weird. As we were talking, I wrote on a piece of paper to Natalie. I said we need to do an expired event for missing children in Tennessee and the Southeast.
Yep, open to the public. Do fingerprinting.
Yes.
And if you can get, if you could get a hold of any parent that has a missing child to come and speak to the other parents.
Yes. Okay, we're doing that. Yeah, definitely.
Yay.
We might need your help, though. Yeah,
that's okay. That's okay. That's what I'm here for.
What was the county? And what county is she missing from specifically?
Well, it's from Jackson, Tennessee.
Jackson, Tennessee. Okay. That's Middle West Tennessee, right? Yeah, it's right here. Okay. Okay, I might be close to the Memphis area in a couple of months for like a youth sporting event, but I'm going to reach out to you when I'm on my way. And if you have free time, maybe we could meet up and just like have lunch or something. But
yeah,
we definitely
will. Absolutely.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, Nashville. We will probably. I'll be there. Okay, I'll be there for quite a few weekends over the next few months, and I feel like Natalie can come up too. But we'll definitely be in touch with you about doing an event for missing children and doing the fingerprint things for sure. We've been wanting. We're a year old. Expired is a year old now, and we're trying to do. Oh, thanks. We're trying to get more into doing like public events and things like that. So we'll definitely be in touch with you.
Good. I was going to tell you it hasn't happened yet, but I'm in the process of getting a Bethany Markowski foundation, and we will offer people fingerprinting kits to download on their, and print them from home and do them from home.
Oh my God, cool. That is really cool. I love that. Let us know when you get more info on that, because we'll definitely post about it.
Okay, and Bethany has a store, BethanyMarkowski.com. We have swag.
Oh my God, BethanyMarkowski.com.
Yep, we have the hashtag Team Bethany T-shirts. My niece helps design the stuff for us.
I love that. Cool. That is awesome. That's really cool. We're going to have like a whole meeting after this. Yeah, we are. To talk. Yeah.
Well, please holler if y'all need any help on anything. I am here.
Absolutely.
We know you are.
Yeah, and if you think of anything, anything at all that we could share on our podcast or on social media to help out, or any updates, any events, anything like that, just send it to us, and we are happy to share it on all of our platforms as well.
Perfect. I sure will. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your time.
Yeah,
thank you so much. I hope
it was great. And hope we can meet soon.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Hopefully. I hope so, too. Me too.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.